Okay, in this video, we're going to go over the quiz review for 4-6 and 4-8. Okay, so the very first question says, draw an isosceles triangle in the box and label the following. So we had done this extensively in our notes. So you can look back at your notes or you can start thinking, okay, do I know what an isosceles triangle looks like? So this is what it looks like. I'm going to draw this leg, that leg, and then I'm going to draw the base. Okay, now I'm going to start labeling things. Okay, this is a leg. This is a leg. The legs are the pieces that are equal. Okay, the bottom piece is called the base, and it's not the same length as the legs. Okay, so now we have 3 angles, and there are 2 different types of angles. This angle that's in pink are the base angles. And notice they have the same size because those base angles are opposite the legs and therefore they're equal. Then your top angle right here, that's called the vertex angle. And everything is labeled. Now you can change your orientation so that perhaps the base is on top and the legs are towards the bottom. Regardless of how you draw it, the legs are always marked equal and they're always opposite the base angles. The vertex is that third angle and the base is that third side. Okay, those facts always hold. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, now this says find the value of x. So what do I know? I know, so I'm going to eliminate this because it was not there. So let me get rid of this. Okay. This is an isosceles triangle. How do I know that? Well, because these angles, these 2 angles are marked equal. Look what I'm going to do. I'm going to come out of the angle and go across to the side opposite it. That's this side. I'm going to put a single hash mark there. Then I'm going to go to the other angle that's marked the same. And I'm going to go across to the side opposite it. And I'm going to put a single hash mark. Those 2 sides are the same. Since I told you this was 6, this must equal 6. Okay? I have no idea what the base is. I have no idea what the angles are in terms of their measure, but I do know that the 2 legs have to be the same because they are opposite the equally marked angles. Okay, so x in that case should be 6. Okay, let's go on to 3. Look at this. Here I see I have marked sides. These are my legs. The angles opposite those are the same. They're the same value. So therefore, if the one on the right is x, so is this one. Okay, now you say, well, I can't figure out what that is. Oh, but you can. How many degrees do you have in a triangle? You have 180. Right now, you've used up 40 in the vertex angle. Remember, this is the top angle, vertex angle. This is your base down here. And we might as well go ahead and label these. These are your base angles. Okay? So if I know I have to have 180 degrees, and so far I've used 40, how many degrees do I have left? I have 140, but I have to divide it evenly between the 2 base angles. Take that 140 and divide by 2, and you get 70. So now you know that both of your x's will be 70 degrees. Okay? Dealing with isosceles triangles, you should be good. Okay, these are more complicated than what I would ever ask you, but they are excellent, excellent practice. Look what's going to happen. This 148 is outside the triangle. Okay, but what do we know? Look at this angle this way. Those are linear pairs. So I can find this angle right here by saying 180 minus 148. Okay, that should be 32. Yep. So this is 32 degrees. Now, do you see that lovely little red box right here? That means that this angle right here, the 32, plus this angle has to equal 90. So say 90 minus 32, and you can do this with your calculator. I'm doing it by hand. That top angle right here is 58. Okay? Do you see how that top angle is opposite this side? Then that means the angle opposite this side has to also be 58 degrees because these guys are base angles of an isosceles triangle. Let me just write that 58 a little bit clearer so it looks better. So this is 58 degrees. Now, look what I see here. Do you see how these are on a line? That's going to be 180 degrees. So take your 180 and subtract 58 degrees. That's going to be a 2, 2, 1. Angle X right there will be 122 degrees. Okay, so as I said, these are harder than what I would give you on an assessment, but you can definitely do these, and I'm walking you through them so you can see all the connections you can make. Okay, that brings us to 5. Do you see how these two angles are a linear pair? They're on a line. If that one to the left is 120, this has to be 60. Do you see how this angle here and this angle here are the base angles of an isosceles triangle? The 60 is the vertex angle. So that means in this triangle, I need to have 180 degrees. I've used up 60 already. I have 120 left. So that means I have to divvy up the 120 between these two base angles. Now I've just discovered that this triangle has to be equilateral and equiangular because my base angles were 60, my vertex was also 60. Okay, I have to find the x that's out here. Look what I'm going to do. These two angles, remember I say they never mark vertical angles for you. These are vertical. That's your top angle. Now, look what that is. That is one of the base angles. Here's your other base angle. That's going to be 60. Guess what x is going to be? X is vertical to that 60, so x is 60 degrees. Okay, you can keep going. This is going to be 60. So both of these triangles are equilateral and equiangular triangles. Okay, I could mark this with 2. Okay, all right, next thing. Let's look at this. So here I have number 7. Number 7 has some markings on it. So I'm going to make some connections here. Here is a base angle. This must be a leg. Here is another leg. That leg has to be 8. Okay, what else do we know? So it looks to me like the markings are the same for both of the angles. So therefore, this has to be a leg, and this has to be a leg, and they have to be the same length as the other triangles because the angles are the same. So set this equal to 8, and if I add 1 to both sides, I will get x equals 9. Okay, and we're done. Let's move over to this one. What do I see? So let's see what I can figure out here. So I know that this angle is opposite that side, and I know that this angle is opposite that side. Now, don't I know that these two triangles are going to be congruent by side, angle, side? Therefore, all congruent parts are equal. So if this guy here is 12, then that means that this has to be 12. So take that expression, sec it equal to 12. Add 12, add 12, 2x equals 24, divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals 12, and we are done. Okay? Moving on to 9. All right, so this expression is part of 9. That's your angle 2. So let's figure this out. If this is 47 and it's opposite that side, then this has to be 47 because it's opposite the other side. Due to vertical angles, this is also 47. 47 is opposite this side, and this angle is this angle in the corner here is opposite the other side, so it has to be 47. Okay, so far inside that top triangle, I have used up 47 plus 47 degrees. That's a 4. That's 94. What is angle 2 going to equal? Angle 2 is a vertex angle. The vertex angle will have to be part of the sum to 180. Subtract away your 94. So I'm going to borrow over here. That's going to be a 7. That's going to be a 6. That becomes a 17. That becomes 86. So angle 2 has to equal 86. But I have to solve for x. So look what I have to do. I have to say 86 equals x plus 94. Subtract 94. Subtract 94. 86 minus 94 is going to equal negative 8. So negative 8 equals x, and we're done. Okay, so I'm going to go back and just make sure you can see what the answers are, and then we can discuss them in class. Okay, look at this guy. I see a couple of things going on here that I know about. I see a right angle in the top corner. I see hash marks that tell me I have an isosceles triangle. That tells me if this angle that I'm pointing to is opposite the 1 hashtag, then this guy over here has to also be 68. Okay. I always have to have 180 degrees inside a triangle. Add up your 2 68s. 8 and 8 is 16, and the 6 carry the 1. 6 and 6 is 12, and 1 is 136. So far, I have used up 136 degrees. But I need to have 180 degrees in that triangle. So subtract away what you've used up, and I get 44 degrees. That means that the vertex angle, notice the vocab I'm using, this is the vertex angle with the 44 degrees. That is part of a right triangle, isn't it? So if I know that, then I know this angle too, I could get by saying 90 minus 44. So do that math over here. So that's going to be 6. It's going to be 46. So angle 2 equals 46. But this is the expression I need to solve. So right now, I know that angle 2 is 46, and 46 equals 4x minus 2. So I'm going to add 2, add 2. That gives me 48 equals 4x. Divide by 4, divide by 4. That gives me 12 equals x. And that is the answer that I need. Okay, we've got a couple of more of these. So they should be making you think. That's what I want you to do. All right, we're going to review again linear pairs. Do you see how these two angles are on a line? So I know that this has to sum to 180. I'm going to use my calculator this time. 180 minus 118 is going to give me 62 degrees in here. Do you see how 62 degrees is opposite the marked side? Do you also see that you can figure out where the other 62 degree angle is? And it's here. These two angles, the two 62s, are base angles of an isosceles triangle. Okay, we can keep going. Don't you see the little red box right here? So that means that 62 plus something has to be 90. What will that be? This will be 28. So what do I know about these? So let's see. This side right here is opposite the 28. This side is opposite the other angle. Here are your two base angles. My base angles are both 28. So I have used up 28 plus 28 degrees so far in that bottom triangle. 8 and 8 is 16, but then the 6 carry the 1. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. Angle 2 has to take care of the remaining degrees. So I so far used up 56. 180 minus 56 gives me 124, and that's what angle 2 is. But I've been asked to solve for x, so I'm going to say 124 equals 12x plus 4, subtract 4, subtract 4, 120 equals 12x, divide by 12, divide by 12, and what I'm going to find is that x equals 10, and that is my answer. Okay, that brings us to number 12, which is the last of these problems. So I'm looking for angle 2 outside, but I have to start down here with this linear pair. These will equal 180. 180 minus 146. That's 34 degrees. That means right here, that angle is 34 degrees. Do you see how that angle is across from this side? And you see how this side is across from this angle? So that has to be 34 degrees also, because Those are base angles of an isosceles triangle. Now we're going to pick up the vertical angle. This has to be 34. Guess what? Let me just write this a little bit better because that does not look like a 34. So that's better. Okay, that angle is opposite that side. This angle here is opposite that side, so this is also 34. Those are base angles of an isosceles triangle, and guess what? These guys are a linear pair, and just like down below, where they had to sum to 180, I can see that angle 2 is going to equal 146 because that's what it equaled down below, and I had the same numbers adding up to 180. So I have to now solve for x. I know the measure of angle 2 is 146. That's 13x plus 3, subtract 3, subtract 3, and I have 143 equals 13x. So take your 143 and divide by 13, and you will get x equals 11, and we are done with that problem. Okay, so as I said, these are more challenging than what I would ask you, but it was excellent practice. And what concepts did we review? We reviewed isosceles triangles. Okay, they have to sum to 180, and they will have two base angles that are congruent. Okay, what else did we go over? We went over linear pairs, and linear pairs sum to 180. We also went over vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. And in all of this, the underlying thought was that each triangle has 180 degrees. Okay, so we went over all of those points. Okay, so now I want to go over the two methods of proving triangles congruent that were covered in 4.6. Okay, so I didn't ask you to label these or do anything else other than tell me if it works. So look what I have here. I have a reflexive piece. That's going to give me the top triangle, angle, side, angle, and that's going to match angle, side, angle below. So these are congruent by angle, side, angle. Here's a reflexive piece in 14 as well. That's going to give me angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. So they are congruent by angle, side, angle. Here, remember, you have to always mark your vertical angles. I'm going to use the double because I don't want to make it have to equal the other because I don't have that information. What do I have then? I have this angle, angle, side, and then in the right triangle, or the triangle to the right, I have angle, angle, side again. So these guys are congruent by angle, angle, side. Okay, look at this next one for 16. All I have is side, side. That means that there's not enough information. I have no grounds to mark the other side equal, and I have no grounds to mark any angles equal, so there's not enough information. Okay, here I see again, I have to mark my vertical angles. I do that, and what do I end up getting? I can get angle, angle, side. So this time the side is not sandwiched, right? Angle, angle, side. So I can prove congruency by angle, angle, side. This next one only has two things marked. There's no congruency that results from side, side. So this is also not enough info. Okay, on the quiz, I am going to have you mark at least a couple with letters and to write a congruency statement. So let me practice that with this one over here. I'm going to remove these letters so that I don't confuse things. I already know I have angle, angle, side congruency. Let me go ahead and label my triangle. So why don't I call this P, Z. This one in here is going to be T, A, B. Okay, let me just fix this here. Okay, so if I already know that they are congruent by angle, angle, side. So now write your statement. So triangle, use the one on the left, the lower left. If I label that one the single, the double, the unmarked angle, I'm going to go the same way for the top right triangle. So I'm going to do single, double, unmarked. Okay? So that's how we write congruency statements. You tend to be pretty good at that. Let's do one more. Okay, so I'm going to erase these letters that confuse things. I'm leaving my markings on here. I know I have angle, angle, side congruency. And just for practice sake, let's call this X, Y, Q, C, D. Okay, so write a congruency statement. Look at your angles. They're the easiest things to write the congruency statement based upon. In the left triangle, if I call it single, double, unmarked, then I would call the second one single, double, unmarked, and we're good. Okay, so we've done two of those practices, and that's all I wanted to do. Okay, I hope that helped. Sorry that the first video I did not share my screen. That was a big problem. And I hope you can use this one, and we'll discuss it when I see you in class. Thank you for listening.